Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So I'm just going to do a video of the installation of LiteBringer. So LiteBringer is a PC RPG and it runs on the Litecoin blockchain. So I've done some videos about LiteBringer before on the channel. You can go and have a look at those, but those were running on the testnet. So there was no kind of real value involved in those games because you were just using test coins. This is the kind of official version, which is launching on the Mainnet, what we call the Litecoin blockchain Mainnet. So everything that happens now is kind of permanent and a bit more kind of serious, I suppose. So anyway, let's go through the process. Okay, so just kind of clicking through terms and conditions, this sort of thing. Obviously, I'm not going to show you everything because it's going to show you some private things that you don't want to share with anyone. Obviously, the point of something on the blockchain is that once you kind of control the access to the wallet, or anyone who has access to your private keys, as we call them, basically kind of like the foundational password, has access to all your stuff. So because it's decentralized, then no one else can get it back for you. If you lose those access to those keys, then it doesn't matter if you have $1 million worth of assets in that wallet, you can't get it back. In fact, no one can get it back. So that kind of stuff, that kind of security is important. Okay, so this is the splash screen. So if we had an existing account, we wanted to import, we could do that. Obviously at the moment we can't do that because no one's created any accounts because everything's been on the testnet, and you can't import a testnet account because obviously that's totally made up coins and values. So we have to create an account. Okay, so it's worth going through this disclaimer. LiteBringer is a blockchain game and works differently to other games. It is important to know and understand these differences and features. It's in beta still. It uses Litecoin. So Litecoin is a cryptocurrency, has monetary value, can be sold for other currency. So you have to have Litecoin in order to play the game. You can't do anything without Litecoin. And to get Litecoin, if you've not got involved in cryptocurrency before, it's not impossible. Everyone has to kind of start somewhere, but you have to basically go through various stages, setting up wallets or setting up accounts on crypto exchanges, and then you have to put some real money, dollars or pounds or euros, whatever, into your crypto exchange, and then you have to within the crypto exchange transfer what we call fiat currency, the kind of currency of governments, into the currency of computers, which is cryptocurrency. Various different forms of cryptocurrency. Obviously, Bitcoin, the best, most well-known. Litecoin, kind of a version of Bitcoin, really. Thousands of other coins out there, but to play this game, you have to have Litecoin. And every game turn requires a transaction fee. So this is a turn-based RPG, and in order to have a turn saved on the blockchain, because everything you do is going to be saved on this Litecoin blockchain, which is run by thousands of computers all around the world. You have to spend a small amount of money on a transaction fee. So this is you need to this is why you have to have Litecoin, and all the information you provide will be published on the blockchain. So blockchains, certainly ones like Litecoin, are what we call public blockchains, and the information is kind of anyone can kind of look at that data. Obviously, they can't see who you are necessarily, but they are public blockchains. The game is decentralized, which means your account information, your private key, which is this password, idea of password, and its encryption is solely your responsibility. If you lose your private key and password, there is no way to recover them. Okay, if you can lose and basically you could have put in $100 worth of Litecoin into your account and been playing away happily, and then you lose your keys, and the game developer Cipsoft cannot get it back for you. It is only your responsibility. Also, cryptocurrency might be illegal in your country. Yeah, okay. Right, so anyway, let's go through all that. So what we see here is my address. So this is my Litecoin address. So this is what we call a public key. This just means that it's my address. It's kind of like, you can think of it as your bank account details. So if anyone wants to send any Litecoin to this address, then that's what they put in. When I go and buy some Litecoin from an exchange and I need to send it somewhere, I need to send it to this address, this long string of letters and numbers. So that's what we call the public key, or the address, or effectively the bank account. And I'm going to create a password, which I'm not going to show you, obviously, and have an estimated strength. The password is going to be it's not the private key, so the password is just locking this particular version of the game. But if I wanted to, when I get a new computer, or I want to play LiteBringer on another computer, then I would need to install the game and then kind of import an existing account using the private key and the password. So we will just click off here for the time being while I go through that process. Okay, so I've created my password, long password, not used for anything else, obviously, and it's estimated my strength here, 88 bits. Obviously, you can create a much longer password. I'm not expecting to spend vast amounts of money in this game. If I was going to put $1 million of Litecoin into it, I might have a longer password. But I think it gets to a certain stage where the hassle of typing it in is kind of more than the likelihood of you getting hacked. Anyway, okay, so we've done all that, and now we're going to basically, this password is going to be used to encrypt the private key, which is the real important thing. But you need to know the password as well, obviously. So the password is the gateway to the private key. You can't lose the password either. Okay, so another reminder, please save your private key into a file and keep it safe. Make sure you do not lose your password, as you will need it to decrypt the private key. There is no possibility to recover a lost key or a password. So the private key is the important bit, but the password is encrypting it, and if you lose either one of those, then basically it's game over, literally, for the game. Okay. So now you can't see this because it's happening on a different screen, but the game is basically creates your private key in a PDF file. So I'm just gonna don't want to do that there. So I'm just going to save that, and it saves it as a PDF file. Okay, so we can see my private key has been exported, and I should also print out my key. So the reason that people do this is that obviously doesn't make a lot of sense to save private keys necessarily online where they can be hacked. So lots of people in the blockchain space actually physically print things out and laminate them or put them in special saves or safes or all this kind of stuff. Depends how seriously you want to take it. Remember, I mean, this is a game rather than anything else. If you were doing some sort of some financial services stuff on a blockchain, you might be a bit more serious about it. But probably for a game which you're probably not going to spend vast amounts of money in, although you have to be a bit careful because you might think you're not going to spend any money, and then you might end up playing the game for 20 years and spending quite a lot of money over that period of time. So you have to think about how you do this. But yeah. Okay, so now what's going to happen is the game, because it's running on the Litecoin blockchain, has to connect to the Litecoin blockchain, and that does take a bit of time. In fact, it's not really working at all at the moment. So this is kind of one of the kind of issues with blockchain games, or with certainly blockchain games running on things like Litecoin, is they have to spend time syncing every time because they're running on the blockchain. So they have to be synced to the blockchain. Otherwise, you may as well not be using a blockchain. So it's looking to connect to nodes. So nodes are computers that are running the Litecoin blockchain. So it needs to connect to those and then sync itself to them. And then, because when it's going to start sending information, it needs to be sending them to the right block. So blockchains are called blockchains because every so often, every few minutes, they save all the information that's being sent to them in a block, and then they make that permanent. It can't be changed. So you need to obviously sync to the current block state. We call it block height. So the information that you are saving is saved into the current block, and that's what costs the money, the tokens to do that, because you are basically paying to get access to that block space. Okay, so we finally got connected to our 8 nodes, and now we can see what's going on here is I'm actually only connected to 2 of 8 nodes. I think my internet's a bit slow at the moment, actually. So what the game is doing now, as you can see, is it is syncing to the blockchain. So it's going through the calculations, the blocks, and the headers, just a kind of way of organising information, and we can see here, I mean, it's going up and down, but it's going to take about 2 hours, 2 hours at the moment. And this is, as I say, this is one of the problems with blockchains. It shouldn't be that slow. I think it's because just my internet's a bit hammered at the moment. So I'll probably speed this up quite a bit. But it can be one of the issues, and I suppose in some ways it's no different to when you launch a new game, you have to download it. And those files can be pretty massive now, so to some degree it's like doing that, and then every time you launch the game you have to resync with the blockchain, which effectively you could think of is like getting a patch or an update. So I guess people more generally are used to waiting around when they launch a game for it to play. And the one thing that obviously when you're launching something like a blockchain game for the first time, something like LiteBringer, then you have a big sync then because it's syncing. I mean, some of the block will come what they call preloaded. So certain number of blocks, you're not syncing from the first block ever to launch on Litecoin, which would be years and years and years. So a whole bunch of it will be preloaded in, and then you're just kind of syncing to get up to date. But it's actually going slower and slower. So we'll maybe just leave that one going and come back in a while and see how we got on. Okay, so we just downloaded that bit of the chain, so let's log in and see what's going on now. So as we said before, don't lose your password because your password has encrypted your private key. And I've got the wrong password. Okay, well, these things happen. This is kind of, as I say, the kind of issue with having very long passwords, that they can go awry. Now, hopefully this is going to be right, or we're going to be in trouble. Okay, so this sync is going a lot faster. You can see we're connected to 3 out of a possible 8 Litecoin nodes, but seem to have sorted out the connection problems that we had before, and it's syncing pretty quickly. So hopefully in 10 seconds time, obviously you can see we're getting more Litecoin nodes attached, which is good. Obviously going to get up to 8, and then hopefully everything will be hunky-dory. Okay, so here we go into the game. It's going to load for me. Okay, because I haven't got any characters, that's why that's why nothing's loaded. So these are the various options. So you have where all your stuff will be, and then you can buy things and sell things, and then all the transactions you do will be logged there as well. And characters. Now this is kind of where the tricky thing kind of starts for most players, and for me at the moment, because you can see at the moment I've got 00000, so I've got no Litecoin, and in order to create a character I need some. So there are 3 characters. These are the female versions of the characters, and once you level them up, get them to level 30, you can then evolve them to another form. So you have the basic class, then you have the other classes, which obviously you can see here have different things attached to them. So on their offhand, the other hand, the hand without a weapon, they have a specific item, and also they have these stats as well and skills. So that's where you kind of get to in the end. Obviously, this is an RPG, so there's lots of kind of stats in there. But to create a character, I need to have some Litecoin. So this is a kind of interesting kind of point to see how whether people will be able to work out that kind of scenario, and that'll be the next step. I have to do video to explain how that works.